Guys, like, comment, subscribe, share the video, especially if you love MMA as much as I do. Um, I guess Tupuria's next opponent is going to be Max Holloway. I've seen where Sugar Sean O'Malley kind of teased, saying that he thinks Topuria would get pieced up by Holloway. Um, I don't know, but if they were to fight, now look, this is not an official prediction. Of course, I'm going to make a case and scenario for each fighter, how they both beat each other in a future fight once the fight is official. And this isn't even a prediction video because it's not an official fight yet. People are just saying most likely Holloway is next. If they do fight, who do I think has the edge? That's what this video is about and why I think they have the edge. I honestly believe Topuria would have the edge for a few reasons, quite a few reasons actually. The first one, obviously, he's had a lot. He hasn't been as quite as battle tested as Max Holloway. Now, in this case, I think that's a really good thing for him because he does have a lot of power. He's really accurate with his strikes. He knocks guys out, and even when he's not trying to knock guys out, he's still able to outstrike them and go the full distance with them, even if it's 25 minutes, going back to his Josh Emmett fight when he dominated him the way that he did. And he can also take hits if he needs to. His face was pretty busted up, too, in that fight with Emmett, even though it was fairly one-sided, to say the least. I don't think he gets knocked out when he fights Max Holloway. I don't think Holloway would be the one to piece him up as well, because I do think Topuria, as a good fighter that he is, he's going to mix up a lot of leg kicks when he fights Holloway. And given how Topuria has shown that he can go a full fight without getting knocked out or even being risked getting knocked out like he did with Emmett, I believe he'd be able to do the same thing with Holloway. I think he'd be faster. I think he'll beat Holloway a lot like Volk beat Holloway in those 3 fights. And 2 of those fights, really. One of those fights was real close. But the first and last fight that Holloway had with Volk, when he lost those 2 one-sided fights, Volk was quicker. He was able to avoid getting hit as much. And he was able to piece up Max basically for 5 rounds and made it look pretty easy against a guy who's as dangerous as Max Holloway is. Really only 4 guys have beaten Holloway, by the way. So that's pretty impressive. I think Ilia would mix up the leg kicks. He'd do a lot of jabs. And I don't think you'd see him try to go for a big knockout or a big haymaker until maybe the 4th or 5th round, just because he knows Holloway is always in pretty good shape, and he knows that he would probably have to beat Holloway with points and outstriking him and being able to mix up the leg kicks and not make anything too fancy, but try to outstrike Holloway. I don't think he knocks out Holloway. Now, if he did, I would be surprised because Holloway's never been knocked out with strikes before. I think he's only been finished once, and that was in 2012 when he got submitted by Dustin Poirier. But, I mean, Conor McGregor didn't knock him out. Volkanovski had 3 chances to knock him out, couldn't do it. Poirier had 2 chances. He submitted him one time. The other fight, he didn't finish it. It was a decision win. Justin Gaethje, a heavy striker, a guy who's a lot bigger than Ilia and probably hits harder, did not finish it. So I don't think Topuria will either, but I do believe he's going to fight a little smarter than Justin and be able to mix up the punching and the kicks better than Justin did. And I don't think he's going to run into the unfortunate part where he gets hit with something big like that and it messes up his nose. Because let's be honest, I've watched that whole fight a few times, and really up until then, you know, after that heel kick that broke Justin's nose, you could clearly tell that affected the fight and how he was fighting. Not to say he wouldn't have won if that, like he would have won if that didn't happen, but you could tell it messed him up in that fight. I don't think Max would catch him with something like that. So if he beats Max Holloway, I believe it would be a decision, most likely. I do think he'll get hit a few times to where he might be in a little bit of danger. But because Ilia is a smart fighter, he's a calculated fighter. And I really go back to that Emmett fight because Emmett's a guy that can finish you. Because he even admitted why he was okay with going the distance was because he knew Emmett had that one-punch knockout power. And Volk didn't have that. That's why he was confident about taking hits in order to deliver something big to Volk. I don't think he'll do that with Holloway. Holloway showed, even before the one-punch knockout he had with Gaethje, he still has finished guys before and been able to take some big shots. So I don't think he's going to do that with Max Holloway, be willing to open up and just hit him one time and willing to put him away. If he does finish Holloway, he'll hit him with a big head kick or something big to where he rocks him and drops him and then follows it up with some vicious ground and pound. That might be what I see happening if he does get a finish, but I don't think he'll do that. I think he'll be happy enough to get a pretty not one-sided as Volk did, but I believe he'll outstrike Holloway and out-strategize him and be able to mix up the leg kicks and jabs and big punches that he looks to land late. You look now, Gaethje, when he fought Ferguson, he was hitting him with big shots anyway, but if you look to where he got finished, where it was a TKO, he started to open up and hit him more once he realized Ferguson was at that point was just hanging on late in the fight. And I think that's what Holloway will be doing too. He'll be hanging on. And the fact that I talked about the experience, you think it might help Holloway? It can. I think it'll go against him because he's been through a lot of wars. He's been through a lot. Even in that fight with Gaethje, he got hit a few times and he was messed up in that fight as well, even though he won. So the fact that Topuria has not really tasted that yet, I believe that will help him. Go back to Stipe's fight with Dos Santos. The first fight, Stipe did lose according to the judges. Now, if you watch the fight, I think it's a little different. But that experience did go on to help Dos Santos. But then they fought again. Obviously, Junior had been through a lot of wars and a lot of fights already. You know, really, that helps Stipe that he didn't go through all that damage at the time. And Junior did with Kane and Mark Hunt and everybody else. So I'm sorry if I'm confusing y'all with that, but that's my opinion. So if they fight, Topuria probably wins by decision. That's just my opinion. I think he'll outsmart Max. He'll out-strategize him. He'll be able to piece him up and keep moving. And Holloway's going to get hit in the legs a lot because really he couldn't stop the leg kicks neither. His thigh and his leg was messed up when he fought Gaethje. So I think Topuria will beat him most likely.